All right, man, peace. As we all know by now, the narratives of many of these professional sports leagues, not just these professional sports leagues, but just this society in general, the narratives that are put forth by the media and many of the prime movers in regards to thought are just as important as the reality. So let's see what some of the top storylines are going to be for this up and coming NBA season. Of course, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
NBA regular season kicks off tonight. All eyes on the Celtics hosting the Sixers. For Philly, Markelle Fultz, the #1 overall pick from 2017, is expected to start at shooting guard. Fultz played just 14 games as a rookie because of a shoulder injury. Meanwhile, Boston returns Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward to the title chase from injury.
I think we're all just anxious to play somebody else and see.
I can imagine. Can you imagine how intense many of those practices are with the Boston Celtics when you basically have two starting lineups?
And see where we stand and go from there. I think one of the things that you probably learn sooner than later in this league is that you have 82 of them. And so we're going to have a lot of information after tonight, which is a good thing.
It's going to be exciting. You know, the best thing about it, we get a lot more TV games. So, you know, we prime time now, so.
Now, did you hear what Marcus Morris just stated? This is the type of player that you hear about, like Charles Barkley. He said that when the Phoenix Suns went to the finals in 1993, when they came back the next year, you had role players who came into the locker room with sunglasses on and they were trying to open up restaurants and things of that nature. He's one of those type of guys. For him to say something like that, oh, we're prime time now, we're going to get a lot more TV games. That's where his mind is at.
You know, I expect it to be a great time.
Let's get you back to First Take.
Here we go. Stevens, A-list, Max, you look up and you pay attention to me. These are the top 5 storylines of the NBA season, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get right to it. Number 5, the emergence of the Philadelphia 76ers. Joel Embiid talking smack. I need to be MVP. That's what you think about yourself. We know how big time Ben Simmons is. You acquired Wilson Chandler in the offseason. Markelle Fultz is going to be starting for you. Let's see what the Philadelphia 76ers are going to do since they stuck up the joint in the second round against Boston.
I don't see the 76ers being much better than they were last season. They remind me a lot of the Oklahoma City Thunder of the early 2010s. They have two extremely talented players, but how much growth are they going to show? They need more shooting.
Expecting them to win that series. They got bounced in 5. They got some making up to do. Number 4 on my list. We're talking about the Celtics. A threat. We know what they're a threat to. The Golden State Warriors. That's right.
Are they truly a threat to the Golden State Warriors right now? I'm not quite sure if they're a threat yet. They have to prove that. They have to prove that. A lot of prognosticators are trying to equate them to Golden State. I think that should they meet up in the finals, it's going to be a very exciting finals. That's really what the NBA wants. If they can't get Boston and Golden State, they would also love Los Angeles and Golden State. But right now, I'm not quite sure if they're one of the top 5 NBA storylines. To me, the #1 storyline in the NBA is that LA Laker dumpster fire. Because I think that there are just so many places that you can go with that whole situation. That LeBron James, Rajon Rondo dynamic, I'm telling you, brothers, is bubbling, man.
Right, I said it. They are the only team in the NBA, in my opinion, that can take out the Golden State Warriors. And I'm not saying I bet my money on it. That's today. Come June, I might be willing to do it, depending on what I see from Boston. But I don't expect anybody else to be that big of a threat to the reigning, defending 2-time champions, 3 championships in the last 3 years. It's the Boston Celtics, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get to number 3 on the list, Max Kellerman. Carmelo's impact. Dare I say why? Carmelo,
That's going to be a major storyline.
You go to Houston. Excuse me, I didn't say pressure. I said impact. In other words, this is an interesting story to watch because Carmelo's got something to prove. I believe he can ball. I believe his offense makes up for the defensive liability of Trevor Ariza and Luke Mbah-a-Moute being gone. We'll find out about Melo, who will be with his boy, CP3. Let's go to number 2 on the list. Durant, Davis, Kawhi Leonard. Excuse me, what am I going here? One of these brothers are going to end up in L.A. One of them going to end up in L.A.
Stephen A. Smith must know something. because he keeps putting Anthony Davis's name in there. Once again, Anthony Davis is under contract. So he must know something for people to be asserting. And even myself, I'm asserting it, but I'm asserting it because I just know how the NBA works. But for people to be asserting that Anthony Davis is going to end up in LA with so much conviction, they must know something. Not just in regards to the machinations that are afoot betwixt many of these teams, but also from an NBA standpoint. The NBA must want this trade to go through for LeBron.
Now, I don't know who. Will KD stay and go to State, or will he leave? And if he decides to leave, will it be New York or LA? Davis, if KD leaves Golden State, will the Warriors go after Davis, Anthony Davis, and say...
I guarantee you they're going to do that. But I'm not quite sure if they have to, but they most likely will. I think that the Warriors would be better off if KD leaves, going after a forward that might bring a little bit more than what Harrison Barnes brought. Of course, you're not going to be able to acquire a small forward who can replace KD. I'm not quite sure what Tobias Harris's contractual situation is going to be after this season. But I think he'd be the perfect type of small forward for their team should they lose a KD.
Say, yo, Anthony Davis, forget LeBron. Don't go to LA. Come to us. And Kawhi Leonard, will he decide to stay in Toronto, leave for LA, and even if he decides to leave for LA, will he go to the Lakers or the Clippers? Stay tuned for that storyline. And number one.
Well, we know Kawhi's not going to the Lakers. Kawhi's not going there. Just too much fuckery going on in LA with LeBron James.
One on the list, we all know what time it is. LeBron and the Los Angeles.
Absolutely. That is definitely the number one storyline in the NBA. Has to be number one. That shit is number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Los Angeles Lakers. What will qualify as a successful season? You listen to Max Kellerman, just to make the playoffs. All right, maybe a first round victory. Okay. You listen to other people, making the playoffs will be an accomplishment. To me, LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers, a success is getting deep into the second round.
I would agree with that. Success is them getting to the third round. At the very least, though, they have to get to the second round. LeBron has to get to the second round for people to not say anything. Because also remember, one of the main arguments that the LeBron James superfans or stupefans use in regards to this incessant debate about who's better, LeBron or Michael Jordan, one of their points is that LeBron was never knocked out in the first round. So LeBron has to get through the first round to at least be able to maintain that level of the argumentation.
I believe they will make the conference finals. That's where I'm at with it.
You don't need, I take all sides. You don't even need me here to argue this list. We just rolled tape from you earlier today to argue with yourself.
It's
Max Kellerman's on point in this episode because that's exactly what Stephen A. Smith is doing.
It's the top.
I think somebody sprinkled some crack in Stephen A. Smith's coffee, allegedly.
It's the top 5 storylines.
Look, 1 and 2 are right. I'm with you on 1 and 2. And I like the number 2, especially the way you set that up. That's
right.
Some good storytelling right there, because that's a storyline.
Right.
Number 3, Carmelo. If Carmelo is the third biggest story, then there's pressure on him, brother.
No.
I agree. Thank you. Just for Stephen A. Smith to put Carmelo as one of the top storylines, there's pressure there. Because pressure goes along with expectations. You can't tell me that one of the top 5 storylines, meaning one of the top 5 most interesting aspects of the NBA season, is going to be how Carmelo fares with the Rockets, and then say there's no pressure on him. That makes no sense. It's obvious that Stephen A. Smith is trying to cover for his boy.
No.
Yes.
I disagree.
Yes, Stephen A. Smith. Don't argue with me. Argue with Stephen A. Smith from an hour ago.
Time out. The storyline is entirely different than the pressure.
You said he's
But
past
yes,
his
it may be.
prime. It doesn't matter earlier.
No, I said the pressure is different than the storyline.
Yeah, it is, but Stephen A.
I want to see how he does, but to me there's more pressure on
Stephen A.
CP3.
But Stephen
That's
A.
not the story.
If
Yes, that's the story, bro. Because there are very high expectations for that team. So for that element of the NBA season to be that interesting to you, that means that you have a lot invested in how that turns out. It's not like Carmelo went to the Portland Trail Blazers, or he's still with OKC, and you want to see how that goes. Like last year, nobody was really expecting them to win a championship after the first month because it was obvious that between Russell Westbrook and Carmelo Anthony, they were not going to get anywhere. Really, I knew that they were not even going to get out of the first round. Well, I shouldn't say that because I did predict them to beat Utah. I just thought that Utah was a little too inexperienced, but they proved me wrong. When I say they, I mean OKC. They proved me wrong in regards to their ability to utilize the experience that they had to get out of the first round because their basketball IQ is just so low. When you have Russell Westbrook, who has a low basketball IQ, on the same team with Carmelo Anthony, who has one of the lowest basketball IQs for multiple-time All-Star in the history of the NBA, I mean, that's what you get. You get knocked out in the first round. But once again, there is a lot of pressure on Carmelo.
There is a storyline about Carmelo that's one of the 3 biggest stories in the NBA. I disagree with that. Then there's pressure on Carmelo.
No,
you can't get around that.
I said, no. It says Stevens A-list. My top story.
Well,
That's what
I can't argue that.
That's what it says.
You want me to argue?
That's what it
Okay,
says.
let me give you a couple others in that case. Let me give you a couple others.
I'm interested in that.
Let me give you a couple others, okay?
Okay.
Since this is your list, what about Porzingis' relationship with the Knicks? They're not extending him. He's hurt.
You know, that's an interesting story, but the thing about Porzingis is that he has not shown himself to be a prospect on the level of a Giannis Antetokounmpo. I mean, right now he's going into, his 4th season? What season is he in now with the Knicks? Is going into his 4th season? Is he really somebody that we're looking at as being an alpha or a top player? On a championship level team right now, Porzingis for the most part will be what? Maybe a 3rd option? Maybe?
He's hurt. It's the New York Knicks.
I'm almost allergic to mentioning the Knicks as top 5 anything.
Okay.
That's my
Now,
issue.
you mentioned Embiid. I think the Simmons-Embiid relationship, again, that is going to be a...
That's something to watch as well. And a lot of the NBA pundits, they keep pointing to that as if they're trying to engineer some level of antipathy between Simmons and Embiid. So we'll see what happens with that. Joel Embiid is on record as saying that he's very vivacious himself, while Simmons tends to be very withdrawn. Who knows? Maybe Embiid is taken aback by that. Oftentimes, extroverts, they can be very insecure. So when extroverts see that somebody is not necessarily trying to live out their life too publicly, or they're not as vociferous as they'd like them to be, they can become offended by that, and then they start to say little snippy things. So we'll see.
Story this year.
Relationship?
Yes. Because who is going to emerge as the alpha of that team? Whose team is it?
Do you believe that? I think that...
Well, the alpha has to be Ben Simmons. It has to be because he's the floor general. So Ben Simmons as the alpha, the first thing that he's going to do as the distributor is to make sure that he makes Joel Embiid feel like he's the alpha, because that's what a great point guard does. A great point guard is the real alpha, but he makes a top scorer feel like he's the alpha. That's what John Stockton did for Karl Malone. That's what Magic did for Kareem. That's their job.
That because Simmons struggles to shoot the basketball and he gets off with the assist, he doesn't mind Embiid benefiting
You think
from
they have a
that.
good relationship off the court? Do you think that's all going to be great and
I
everything?
think so. I think so. I really do.
Okay, well,
I think
we
so.
hear
And they're both good
Listen,
guys. They're both good guys.
I'll give you one more that you're not thinking about, and I'm not saying this is a storyline. I'm saying it has the potential to be if they play well, which they might. Dennis Smith Jr. and Luka Doncic in the same.
This guy, Luka Doncic, every Caucasian NBA media pundit loves Luka Doncic, man. And I'm not saying that he can't play. I'm not saying that he's not going to be a very good player, a very good rookie. But if he has even a decent season, they're going to give him the Rookie of the Year award. Aiden is going to have to dominate to win that Rookie of the Year award, because just about every Caucasian NBA insider in the media is in love with Luka Doncic.
Same backcourt.
Well, you know.
Those guys might light it up.
Listen, the Mavericks have been going ballistic of Luka Doncic. I mean, they love this kid. I'm hearing so much stuff about him. Everybody's acting like he's the Rookie of the Year.
And don't
Thank you, Stephen A. Smith.
forget
wait.
Dennis Smith Jr. If that dude is healthy, that is a young, insanely talented
He's
backcourt.
athletic. I like Dennis Smith a lot.
Your
That'd be a-
storyline.
What's
You
that?
forgot your main storyline.
Which is what?
Anthony Davis is going to become the best player in the NBA by the
That is a great point, Molly Karen.
Plays
end
at
of
the
the
Smoothie
season.
King Arena.
Come on, now you're off him because of that?
I'm saying he's going to be MVP. That doesn't make it the biggest story.
You know I'm telling the truth.
He said he's
You know I'm telling the truth. Let me tell you
NBA
something.
player that
Let me tell you what right now. I don't give a damn what's happening with y'all in y'all lives at this particular moment. I promise you, when you watching TV in a main event, a Saturday night, a big time
Very
game on
disrespectful.
ABC,
I don't wanna hear
if
this.
y'all see that blimp over the arena and they
it.
announce that they're playing for the Smoothie
Stop.
King
Why are you
Arena,
trying to act
the
like
both of
they're
y'all are gonna
pussy
break out
because
laughing.
of their name?
You
You know
can be
what
with your
Smoothie King
family.
sounds
You can
like?
be with your
Smoothie
family,
King
and
sounds
y'all
like-
gonna break out laughing because y'all
Smoothie
gonna
King sounds
remember
like
this.
Vince McMahon started a basketball basketball league.
Right.
Smoothie King led the league in scoring.
So disrespectful.
Watch. You're gonna be home with your hubby,
Yeah.
and you're gonna break out. You're gonna be like, "What's up? What's so funny?" And you're like,
When I was a kid, Smoothie King led the Rucker.
You're gonna be with your wonderful
In
kids
assists.
and Coach Mackey. And you're gonna see Smoothie King and you're gonna crack up laughing. What's wrong with? Because y'all know it's true. You know MVP coming for the Smoothie King.
Won the
It's not
ABA
gonna
dunk
happen.
contest,
The
Smoothie
Smoothie
King.
King.
Stephen A. Smith, you could try to change the narrative all you want. Anthony Davis is going to win the MVP. You just want LeBron James to win it so that you can spend as much time out there in LA as possible
You know what I'm not laughing
and be on one of those back streets looking for one of them strange women, allegedly.
about? The New York Football Giants.
But anyway, that's basically it on that. We'll see what happens in regards to these storylines. But this is what makes the NBA such a great league. It's all this ancillary shit. But anyway, peace.